For centuries, the Neanderthals have lingered in our imagination as mysterious ancestors, often portrayed as rugged, brutish beings, creatures more suited to survival than social connection. But what if this view of Neanderthals was far from complete? Imagine a world where our ancient relatives navigated not just the challenges of the Ice Age, but also the complexities of intimacy, passion, and perhaps love. Today, thanks to revolutionary discoveries, we are beginning to see a side of Neanderthals that shatters old stereotypes and reveals something unexpected, an emotional and intimate world that may echo our own. With cutting-edge technology and genetic breakthroughs, scientists are unlocking insights into Neanderthal lives that were once unimaginable. Could these ancient beings have formed romantic attachments, shared tender moments, and even practiced rituals of love and courtship? Clues left in their bones, their tools, and even their DNA paint a picture that suggests Neanderthals may have navigated deep, nuanced social bonds, including bonds with Homo sapiens, our direct ancestors. Research suggests that these encounters went far beyond mere survival. Genetic evidence reveals that as Homo sapiens moved into Neanderthal territories, they didn't just compete, they intertwined their fates in ways both profound and intimate. As we delve into the story of Neanderthals, we find evidence of interbreeding between our species, a shared heritage that lives on today in our very DNA. What was the nature of these relationships? Were they acts of passion, of mutual need, or simply survival-driven alliances? The traces of Neanderthal DNA in modern humans suggest that these interactions left a lasting mark on our evolution. As we dive into their story, we begin to see that Neanderthals formed close-knit communities that went far beyond survival. Fossils and artifacts suggest that they cared deeply for one another, tending to the sick and burying their dead with what may have been symbolic objects. Could these behaviors reflect an emotional world rich with empathy, commitment, and even romantic connection? Evidence from burial sites and cultural artifacts suggests that Neanderthals shared meals, lived in family units, and perhaps experienced bonds that echoed the same range of feelings we find in our closest relationships. One of the most surprising revelations of the last few decades has been the discovery of Neanderthal DNA within nearly all modern non-African populations. This genetic legacy tells us that their bonds with Homo sapiens were, in some cases, profoundly intimate. We're left to wonder, what drove these interactions? How did their social structures allow for these unions? And what might that say about their capacity for connection, both physical and emotional? In studying Neanderthals, we're discovering behaviors that look strikingly familiar. They engaged in what might have been courtship rituals, and there's evidence that they valued certain relationships beyond mere utility. Could they have experienced affection, even romance? It's a question that pushes us to rethink our understanding of what makes us human. The very environment of the Ice Age, harsh, perilous, and often lonely, may have deepened their need for companionship and closeness. In a world of stark survival, was there also room for desire, for longing, and even for tenderness? We may never fully understand the depth of Neanderthal relationships, but the clues they left behind allow us to imagine their social and romantic lives. We will explore these tantalizing questions. Through the expertise of scientists and researchers, anthropologists, geneticists, and archaeologists, we will journey into the intimate world of the Neanderthals, unveiling the bonds that connected them not only to each other but also to us. We will uncover the traces of their lives left in our own, as Neanderthal DNA continues to influence our health, our traits, and perhaps even our social behaviors today. Let's travel through time and delve into the Neanderthal life, exploring not only their tools and technology, but their social dynamics, emotional lives, and relationships. As we uncover their connections with one another and with us, we'll find that their story is not just a chapter of our past. It's a reminder that intimacy, empathy, and the need for connection have always been at the core of what it means to be human. When we think about the lives of Neanderthals, it's easy to overlook one of the most essential aspects of any species' experience: intimacy. For Neanderthals, as with all humans, the pursuit of closeness, companionship, and love was likely integral to their survival. Recent genetic and archaeological evidence now provides a window into their intimate lives, hinting at bonds, desires, and even complex social structures that fostered relationships within and perhaps beyond their communities. The anatomy of Neanderthals offers clues to their interactions, revealing not only their remarkable adaptations to Ice Age environments, but also traits that likely influenced their intimate lives. Built to endure harsh climates, they had robust frames, broad chests, and distinctive facial features traits that would have shaped their expressions of attraction and beauty, whether among their own groups or, later, with early Homo sapiens. Neanderthals' physical traits, like their prominent brow ridges and larger body mass, set them apart from early Homo sapiens. These traits evolved partly due to environmental demands, but they also likely influenced social dynamics, attractiveness, and mate selection within their communities. When Neanderthals and Homo sapiens encountered each other, these physical differences might have sparked both curiosity and attraction, adding a new dimension to human interaction. Perhaps one of the most compelling clues to Neanderthal intimacy comes from genetic evidence. DNA analysis reveals that as Homo sapiens migrated into Europe and Asia, encounters with Neanderthals led to interbreeding. This genetic exchange left enduring marks, with up to 2% of Neanderthal DNA present in non-African human populations today. These findings suggest that relationships between the two species were not just isolated events, but may have been significant and even lasting. Today we find that small, but meaningful percentages of Neanderthal DNA still exist in people outside Africa. Some of these genes impact immune responses, adaptation to cold, and even certain physical characteristics. The persistence of this DNA hints at more than chance encounters. It suggests sustained interactions and the potential for repeated, meaningful exchanges over generations, likely involving shared communities or cooperative survival strategies. These genetic connections offer a new perspective on human Neanderthal interactions, suggesting bonds that went beyond the pragmatic or territorial. It raises questions. Were these relationships driven by necessity and survival? Or were they expressions of a deeper human curiosity and capacity for connection? The genetic legacy that Neanderthals left within our DNA hints at a shared history more complex than we once believed. Beyond genetics, evidence suggests Neanderthals may have developed social structures that influenced how relationships were formed and maintained. In Neanderthal communities, individuals lived together in close-knit groups, cared for each other during illness, and showed signs of familial loyalty and long-term attachment. This evidence suggests a social framework where intimate bonds could flourish, bonds that might have extended beyond mere survival. The social structures of Neanderthals seem to have supported close-knit groups where bonds were sustained over time. We see evidence that they cared for their elderly and their young, implying a family structure and quite possibly a capacity for long-term, committed partnerships. This could have included courtship rituals, such as gift-giving, protection, or even the sharing of resources, echoing behaviors found in many human cultures. The specifics of Neanderthal romantic practices remain elusive. We can draw connections from the little we know. Given the importance of cooperation for survival in harsh environments, it's likely that intimacy wasn't just a biological drive, but also a source of emotional support, companionship, and comfort. Close relationships would have fostered bonds, giving individuals a sense of security and belonging, qualities that would have strengthened the fabric of their communities. Neanderthal bonds likely transcended immediate survival, touching on the need for connection, protection, and perhaps even expressions of love. Shared meals, collective care, and the nurturing of children and elders indicate that their society may have valued emotional as well as physical intimacy, reflecting a broader range of human experience. These practices and values, essential to their resilience, reveal that Neanderthals were complex beings capable of deep, meaningful relationships. While much of their intimate lives remains a mystery, what we do know suggests that the Neanderthals' experience of closeness wasn't so different from our own. They may have felt affection, loyalty, and even grief emotions that would bind individuals within their communities. Their family units and connections hint at a social and emotional depth that resonates with our own experiences, blurring the lines between us and them. Looking back on our shared history, Neanderthal sexuality and intimate relationships emerge as much more than survival mechanisms. They were part of a rich social world marked by loyalty, tenderness, and the drive to connect. This legacy of intimacy and belonging links us across time, reminding us that our desires for companionship, love, and family are ancient forces. In understanding Neanderthals, we come closer to understanding ourselves. One of the most enduring and intimate connections between Neanderthals and modern humans lies in the interbreeding that occurred tens of thousands of years ago, as Homo sapiens began migrating into Neanderthal territories. These two distinct human species did not merely coexist, they intertwined their fates in deeply personal ways. Genetic evidence today reveals a legacy of these ancient unions, challenging our understanding of both ourselves and our place in the world. The presence of Neanderthal DNA in nearly all non-African humans is a profound indicator of these interspecies relationships. This wasn't just a random occurrence, it points to meaningful encounters, perhaps even bonds of companionship or love, that shape the very fabric of their shared world. The genetic legacy left behind is evidence of a complex social structure in which individuals from both groups bridge the divide between species, forming lasting connections. In a landscape teeming with danger and scarcity, relationships between Homo sapiens and Neanderthals might have served many purposes beyond mere survival. The drive for companionship, security, and belonging would have been just as strong then as it is now. In such a world, forging a bond, whether for practical reasons, emotional comfort, or even affection, could offer respite and a sense of unity amidst a life of challenges. As these encounters became more frequent, it's likely that our ancestors and Neanderthals shared more than genes. They shared their lives, perhaps developing deep, emotional ties that went beyond mere survival. These connections, complex and layered, suggest that emotions like affection and even love may have played crucial roles in these interactions. The lines between species began to blur, creating a new chapter in the story of human evolution. Exploring the intimate relationships between Neanderthals and early Homo sapiens reveals fascinating insights into human evolution, genetics, and cultural history. When anatomically modern humans migrated out of Africa roughly 60,000 to 80,000 years ago, they encountered Neanderthals, who had already been living in Europe and parts of Asia for hundreds of thousands of years. While they were different species, these two groups were not so genetically distinct as to prevent interbreeding. In fact, evidence of interbreeding has been found in the genetic makeup of most modern humans, giving us a glimpse into the interactions, including sexual relationships, between these ancient populations. Modern genetic analysis provides concrete evidence that interbreeding between Neanderthals and early Homo sapiens occurred. Approximately 1 to 2% of the DNA in people of European, Asian, and Native American descent comes from Neanderthals. This genetic legacy is a result of interbreeding that likely happened in the Middle East or Europe after early humans left Africa and encountered Neanderthals. The discovery of this genetic overlap has shifted our understanding of human evolution. Instead of viewing Neanderthals as a separate, extinct lineage, we now understand that they contributed to the gene pool of modern humans. This interbreeding wasn't a one-time event, but occurred over tens of thousands of years, suggesting that humans and Neanderthals interacted regularly and intimately. The exact nature of the interactions between Neanderthals and early modern humans is still speculative. However, given that these groups shared overlapping territories, there was likely a mix of cooperation, competition, and perhaps even cultural exchange. Sexual relationships might have been a natural outcome of these interactions, potentially as alliances, exchanges, or simply proximity. Researchers also speculate that Neanderthal and Homo sapiens males and females interbred in both directions, meaning that Neanderthal men fathered children with Homo sapiens women and vice versa. Some scientists hypothesize that the interbreeding may have been a way to increase genetic diversity or adapt to new environments. Subscribe now to join our exclusive community where we explore extinct prehistoric creatures twice a week. Hit subscribe so you don't miss out. Neanderthals disappeared around 40,000 years ago, but the reasons remain a topic of debate. Some researchers suggest that assimilation through interbreeding may have played a role in their decline, as they merged genetically into the larger Homo sapiens population. This theory suggests that Neanderthals didn't go extinct in a traditional sense, but were gradually absorbed through interbreeding with early modern humans. Other theories propose that environmental changes, competition with Homo sapiens, or disease may have contributed to their disappearance. However, the interbreeding certainly left a lasting legacy in the human gene pool. meaning that Neanderthals live on in a way within us. While genetic evidence proves that interbreeding occurred, the nature of these encounters remains a subject of speculation. Were these relationships consensual? Did Neanderthals and Homo sapiens have a mutual attraction? Or were these unions a result of more complex social or environmental pressures? The truth is likely varied and complex. In some instances, Neanderthals and Homo sapiens may have bonded emotionally, while in others, these unions might have been more practical or opportunistic. The genetic legacy they left us suggests a nuanced relationship, one that likely included cooperation, curiosity, and perhaps genuine affection, alongside competition and conflict. The idea of humans and Neanderthals having sexual relationships has long fascinated people, in part because it challenges our understanding of human uniqueness. For some, the concept is uncomfortable, while for others, it's a reminder of the deep and interconnected history of our species. Studying these relationships raises ethical questions too. How we frame these encounters, whether consensual partnerships or otherwise, impacts our view of Neanderthals and our human ancestors. Researchers strive to interpret findings in a respectful, evidence-based manner that honors both ancient humans and Neanderthals as beings with complex emotions and social lives. The intimate relationships between Neanderthals and early modern humans were complex and multifaceted. They were not just isolated encounters, but likely part of a broader tapestry of social and genetic exchange. While the full picture may always remain a mystery, the traces of Neanderthal DNA in modern humans remind us of our shared history with these ancient relatives. Their contributions to our genetics have shaped who we are today, influencing our appearance, health, and adaptation to different environments. The story of Neanderthal-human interbreeding is not just about ancient biology, but also about human connection, resilience, and evolution. These relationships didn't just impact individuals, they influenced the social structures of early human and Neanderthal communities. Genetic studies show that this wasn't a one-time phenomenon. The repeated occurrence of interbreeding points to a broader cultural integration. This genetic blending, over thousands of years, hints at communities where individuals from both groups coexisted, collaborated, and perhaps even formed families. In doing so, they reshaped what it meant to be human. When we analyze the human genome today, we find that some Neanderthal genes still play active roles in our health, affecting our immune systems, skin pigmentation, and even responses to certain diseases. These shared genes suggest that interbreeding wasn't just a passing phase. It was a key part of our evolution. It also points to social arrangements in which these interactions were not only common, but perhaps valued for the diverse benefits they brought to both groups. The significance of these shared genes reaches beyond biological survival. They reveal a legacy of shared humanity, where cultural and genetic exchange became woven into the tapestry of human life. The Neanderthal DNA that we carry today is a living testament to these ancient relationships, reflecting a history of connection that has endured over millennia. But what drove these intimate connections in a world as harsh and unpredictable as the Ice Age? In an environment where survival depended on alliances, emotional and social bonds would have been essential. Finding a partner or ally who could help bear the burdens of daily life was crucial, not just for companionship, but as a means to increase the chances of survival for both individuals and communities. The harsh environments, forming alliances, whether through kinship or marriage, strengthened social cohesion. In the case of Neanderthals and Homo sapiens, intimate connections may have created a network of mutual aid and shared knowledge, enhancing survival for both species. These relationships likely involved cooperation in hunting, foraging, and protection, adding a layer of social complexity that bridged the two groups. These alliances likely went beyond practical survival, sparking cultural exchanges that enriched both groups. Skills, traditions, and even spiritual beliefs may have passed from one community to another, shaping a shared cultural heritage. As Neanderthals and modern humans formed families, they would have shared knowledge about survival strategies, seasonal cycles, and perhaps even rituals and symbols that held meaning for both groups, contrary to earlier misconceptions of Neanderthals as primitive or simple. New evidence suggests they had a rich and nuanced culture. The discovery of cave art and symbolic objects hints that Neanderthals possessed sophisticated ways of understanding and interacting with their world. Their interactions with Homo sapiens may have catalyzed a blending of ideas, giving rise to new forms of expression, communication, and shared meaning. These cultural and genetic exchanges may have strengthened the resilience of both groups. Neanderthal and modern human traits complemented each other, enhancing adaptability and fostering a society that integrated the best of both worlds. These interactions weren't just about survival, they helped lay the groundwork for future human societies, drawing from both Neanderthal and Homo sapien heritage. The legacy of interbreeding is far more than a genetic curiosity. It's a reminder of our shared humanity and the connections that tie us across species and time. Neanderthals are not merely relics of our past, but integral pieces of our genetic and cultural identity. Their contributions endure in our very biology and in the echoes of their culture that still resonate today. As we delve deeper into the mysteries of our origins, we begin to see Neanderthals not as distant or other, but as integral partners in the human story. Their legacy woven into our DNA, culture, and collective memory reminds us of the profound bonds that connect us. In understanding our shared past with Neanderthals, we come to see ourselves not as separate but as one family united by a journey through time and space. The exploration of Neanderthal relationships extends beyond mere genetic exchange. What might romantic interactions have looked like in these ancient communities? To understand this, we must dive into the social dynamics that characterize their lives. Just as with modern humans, intimacy among Neanderthals likely included a spectrum of relationships. Evidence suggests they formed strong attachments, and perhaps they expressed these bonds through social rituals, including sharing food, caring for one another, and possibly engaging in forms of courtship. Such shared moments likely extended to caring for one another. Evidence from archaeological sites shows that Neanderthals often took care of their sick and elderly. This nurturing behavior speaks volumes about their emotional intelligence and the depth of their relationships. Rituals and social customs may have also played a crucial role in romantic relationships. Just like in human societies, Neanderthals might have had courtship rituals, gestures that conveyed interest and attachment. This could include acts of gift-giving, where one partner might offer something of value, such as a crafted tool or a beautiful piece of art. Recent studies highlight that Neanderthals had complex social structures. They may have used symbolic communication, gestures, and even forms of art to express their emotions, creating an intricate social tapestry that included both friendships and romantic partnerships. In archaeological findings, we observe objects that suggest deeper meanings. For instance, the presence of specific shells or stones at burial sites may indicate that these items held sentimental value, perhaps tokens exchanged between partners as symbols of affection. Artistic expressions, such as carvings or paintings, may have served as emotional outlets or as a means of communication between lovers. These artworks could have depicted shared experiences, stories, or symbols that conveyed affection and connection. The two Neanderthals, crafting tools side by side, their hands brushing against one another, a silent exchange of interest. Such intimate moments could have laid the groundwork for deeper connections, mirroring the dance of courtship we see in many modern cultures. Vocalizations and body language would have played a significant role in their interactions. Just as modern humans use tone, pitch, and rhythm in speech to convey emotions, Neanderthals likely had their own nuanced ways of expressing affection and intimacy. We can infer that their communication included not just sounds but also physical expressions like embracing or playful touching. These behaviors create bonds that reinforce emotional connections, just as they do in human relationships. Neanderthal communities would have had unique social structures that influenced relationships. Kinship ties likely played a vital role in mate selection, where individuals sought partners not just for attraction, but also for shared resources and support. In these social dynamics, jealousy and rivalry may have existed, reflecting the complexities of love and desire. Competing for a partner could have sparked conflicts, as emotions ran high in the tight-knit groups. Much like today, romantic relationships would have included elements of competition and conflict, whether over partners or resources. The emotional stakes would have been high, weaving a rich narrative of love, loss, and connection. Additionally, the emotional depth of Neanderthal relationships challenges our perception of their social life. These were not merely functional arrangements, they likely involved affection, intimacy, and deep emotional bonds that we often associate solely with modern human experiences. Considering the enduring legacy of these relationships, we must recognize how the emotional landscape of Neanderthals informs our understanding of human intimacy. Their stories of love and connection remind us that the roots of romance and partnership run deep into our shared history. As we go through the mysteries of Neanderthal lives, we begin to see them as mirrors of our own desires and connections. Their capacity for love, care, and intimacy not only enriches our understanding of who they were, but also illuminates the timeless nature of human relationships. Neanderthals have long been remembered as relics of the past, but their legacy tells a story of kinship, resilience, and connection, one that mirrors our own lives today. Each discovery reveals not just a piece of their world, but a reflection of our humanity. Through shared bonds and social structures, Neanderthals showed us that companionship and care were as vital to them as they are to us. Their family units and communities speak to a need for connection that transcends time and species. The emotional depth of Neanderthal life reshapes our understanding of what it means to be human. Their bonds and expressions of care remind us that humanity's core values, love, community, empathy, are ancient. Our gestures of love today, shared meals, comforting words, and small acts of kindness find echoes in the lives of our Neanderthal ancestors. Their experiences are woven into the tapestry of our existence, touching our genetics and shaping our social instincts. The small traces of Neanderthal DNA within us connect us to a shared past, enhancing our adaptability and emotional depth. They left us more than genetic markers, they imparted lessons in resilience and connection. As we travel through the Neanderthal history, we are prompted to reflect on our own connections. Their story teaches us that our strength lies in unity and compassion. They challenge us to value our relationships and celebrate our shared heritage. The Neanderthal story is a lens to view our own lives. In a world often divided by differences, their legacy reminds us of the timeless importance of empathy and community. They show us that the bonds defining our humanity are not a modern invention, they have ancient roots. By observing Neanderthals' lives, we appreciate the complexities of our own relationships. Their adaptability and social bonds offer us a model for compassion in today's world. In reflecting on their legacy, we are invited to ask ourselves, how do we nurture our connections? How do we keep love, empathy, and resilience alive in our own communities? Let us carry forward the lessons of our ancient kin. The Neanderthals remind us that love, resilience, and community are universal, bridging the gap between past and present, guiding us toward a more compassionate future. Hit that subscribe button now. As we wrap up this journey into the lives of Neanderthals, we encourage you to dive even deeper into the wonders of the ancient world. Our last video took us beneath the waves, exploring the colossal prehistoric whales that once ruled the oceans. These marine giants tell a story just as fascinating, filled with epic adaptations and survival in a vast, ancient sea. If you haven't seen it yet, be sure to check it out. Discover how these incredible creatures thrived in the prehistoric oceans and left their own legacy in the depths of our natural history. Together, let's continue to uncover the secrets of our shared past. Don't forget to leave a like on this video, and see you there.